This is my list of the 24 best software companies to work for in 2024. I applied to each and every one of these companies in pursuit of an account executive sales role. Would you believe me if I said that 11 of the 24 rejected me? And you can actually see specifically which ones rejected me. Some of them I was able to get interviews with. Some of them didn't reply to me. Some of them auto-rejected me after I applied on the company website or LinkedIn page. I think a lot of people are curious about the best opportunities for them. What makes a good company, what's a good opportunity and not a legit opportunity, because it's such an important decision deciding who you work with, what you work on. It's going to dictate how much money you make and the opportunities you have in life and the types of people you know and how you spend all your time. So I didn't take this decision lightly. I spent dozens of hours of research making this list to put together the best companies for me. And I figure those of you who are looking for a job or deciding if you want to stay at your current company, maybe this will help you realize if there's anything better for you out there, what to look for when you get to that point. Let me go through each and every one of these companies. I notated if they were remote and then the stage, if it's private, public, is it early private, more of a startup, or late private, ton of venture capital funding, most likely going to have some sort of exit event. I'm based in downtown Austin, Texas. So when I say office or remote, it's do they have an office in Austin? And then after I cover each and every one of these companies, I'm going to share the 3 insights and lessons I learned going through the job search process. After committing 2 weeks ago, I was able to land an offer and actually accept an account executive position at my dream company that I'm super pumped about. So I can share some current information that I learned going through the job search recently, what worked for me and what might be useful to you. The first company on the list is Deal. Deal is a fully remote company selling HR solutions, specifically payroll and helping companies hire globally. They've never had an office, which is super interesting. They've received quite a bit of venture capital funding, so they're late private. I applied to the account executive mid-market role in North America. I applied on May 15th, and then I was able to message a connection at the company. She messaged a sales manager to then let him know, hey, this guy may be a good fit for your team. They got back to me, gave me an initial interview on May 22nd. After that first round, it went really well, and then I went to the next round later that day, and then I ended up getting an offer later that next week after then having the final round the following day. That's the company I ended up accepting with. I'm super excited about it. I think they're one of the best cloud software companies out there. I have sold to the HR buyer in the past, and that's what they do. So it's my bread and butter. It's what I like doing. I think there's a lot of opportunity with the company, and I cannot wait to get started. One lesson from that I want to share right now is operate with urgency and intent. I went into that process knowing that this is a company I really want to work for. So I wasn't shy about letting them know, hey, you're top of my list. And then urgency. Hey, why wait until 2 weeks from now to meet again? Are you available this afternoon? Urgency and intent will really help you land the offer because it shows you're really serious. And if you're just blindly applying to companies, auto-applying, then you're most likely not going to have that, and it's actually going to be to your detriment. So rather than going a mile wide and an inch deep, just stay very narrow on the companies that excite you the most and go as deep as you can on them and do a ton of research. The next company on my list is MongoDB. They are a public company, about $17 billion market cap. Their stock is absolutely cratered in the last week, so I'm actually... This is not investment advice, but I feel I'm very bullish on the future of the company, and I'm going to look to buy their stock. So I'm not telling you to buy it. I'm just saying I really believe in the company, and I think they're as close to a lock over the next 3 to 5 years of just continued growth and dominance. Very technical product selling to developers. They happen to have an office in Austin, which really excited me. They have a culture that really cares about development, which I think is very important. I applied to an account executive position. I was able to get an interview, and then I ended up ending the interview process because I ended up accepting a role at Deal. And I think it was the right thing to do. And an insight that I learned from that is I messaged a sales manager directly who posted on LinkedIn saying that he had open headcount. and was looking to build out his team in Austin. So by connecting with people at these companies, leaders that are in a position to influence your career, that is how you can network with the right people to then get an opportunity. That's how I got an interview. I never applied, but I was able to message a leader directly and get the initial interview. Amazing company, highly recommend. And keep in mind, I'm sharing the best software companies for me because my goal is to become an enterprise account executive and be a top performer. That's what I want to do. That feels true to my purpose, what I like to do, what I'm really good at. And I believe that will position me well for living a great life. And I think that's what we're all after. So just because you see a company on this list that's right for me does not mean it's right for you. And of course, there are great software companies that are missing from this list. Salesforce, Adobe, those are two of the biggest software companies by market cap. But these are the companies that I was most interested in based on the product they're selling, because that's the buyer persona you're going to be working with, the problems you're going to be solving, and then the opportunity ahead based on the maturity of the company. These are factors you really want to be considering when starting and working on your career. The next company is TigerEye. They're fully remote, no offices, early private, Series A venture capital funded. They had one open position for more of a sales and customer success role, basically helping customers do implementations. I applied to it and I aggressively prospected the co-founders, the head of sales, the head of HR. They never replied to me. And it's very odd that they sell an enterprise sales solution to sales and revenue leaders, yet they don't reciprocate responding to a sales guy that's trying to prospect his way into the company. That was a company I was incredibly excited about, but it didn't work out. And oftentimes things don't work out for the best. Next company is Ashby. They are remote. I believe they're based in San Francisco. They are early private, venture capital funded. What they sell basically a solution that for talent acquisition people. It's basically where you go. If you go to a company's website and you apply to a role, most likely it's Ashby for some of the startups. As I was applying to some of these companies, I kept seeing powered by Ashby. So I looked it up and I said, who are these guys? And they basically provide the capability for companies to post jobs and do a lot of seamless integrations and also automation. Really interesting to me. They never even replied. And I sent a personal note to their head of sales. And I think it's important for me to call this out because if a company offers a terrible candidate experience, imagine a company that provides candidate experience to other companies, but yet doesn't reply to their candidates. And I think it's important for you guys to know because I interacted with some of the companies and I'm just sharing what my experience was like. Next, Wiz. Wiz has just opened an office in Austin. They're basically a cybersecurity company, received a lot of venture capital funding. They're still private. They were one of the fastest companies along with Deal to reach 100 million annual recurring revenue. Incredibly exciting, incredibly promising company. I would definitely recommend you look into that company. I messaged a sales rep based in Austin that seemed like he knew stuff. And I said, hey, who do I got to speak with? And he said, hey, speak with XYZ leader. I messaged the leader. The leader responded back immediately and said, look, we have no open headcount, but thanks for reaching out. I'll keep you in mind. So a lot of respect for them replying to me and letting me know. And they just didn't have any open headcount. That is a really, really interesting company. Next, Gong. Gong is based in San Francisco. They allow their enterprise account executives to work remote. But if you're a mid-market account executive, you have to be in an office. They have offices in Chicago, SF, and there's one other location that I can't remember. Gong sells to sales leaders, so you would think that would be a really great fit for me, and I knew some people at the company. I was able to get an interview for an enterprise account executive position, had the first round interview, and we basically mutually decided it's not a great fit. I just didn't have the experience for more of an enterprise role, and respect to Gong. I think it's a great company and super exciting place to be. Next, Common Room. Common Room is a remote company. They're small, mid-private, about $50 million in funding, based in Seattle. I applied to an enterprise account executive position. It's a solution for sales leaders, basically for intent data to help you find leads. I had an initial interview with them and just didn't think he was a great fit. So I ended the process. But there's actually another big LinkedIn sales leader that I have a lot of respect for that just joined their team. So I think that's a really exciting company. Next, Workday. This role would be remote, and Workday is a massive public company, 55 billion market cap, selling HR and finance solutions, business critical solutions. Their stock also just got absolutely wrecked. That's another company I'm looking at. There was a sales leader over there that attempted to recruit me. So 2 years ago, I declined it because loyalty to what I was doing previously. Reached out to him, got a conversation. He recommended another sales leader. I reached out to that sales leader. He introduced me to a manager on his team. Got the initial interview. They didn't have headcount and just wasn't good timing, but a great company. I'm going to start rolling through the rest of these companies quicker, but I hope it's helpful to hear some of my thinking around what I'm looking for in a company and then how I go about getting access to these companies, because I think most people just apply and leave it at that, whereas taking agency and ownership in the process and reaching out, utilizing your connections. So if you're thinking, well, Trent, my LinkedIn's not developed, you got to get a professional headshot. You got to make sure it looks really great, because that's going to be a really important tool in helping you get hired. And another insight you're seeing is the companies I had the most success progressing with in the process is because my first interview was with a sales leader, not a recruiter, because it's a whole different conversation when you're speaking with the sales leader with open headcount versus a recruiter that's having 10 other conversations like that a day, right? Next, Hi Bob. They are fully remote, mid-private, selling to HR people. They didn't even give me an interview. Samsara is one of the top performing public software companies this year. This role is fully remote. They actually replied to me, and it's very interesting because they're selling solutions for real world businesses. So I think they have a great trajectory ahead of them. They actually gave me the interview, but they never followed up with me, so I never actually had the interview. So that to me was a questionable candidate experience. Next, Datadog. Datadog is another incredible public software company based in New York. I applied to an enterprise AE role, a role that was more of a stretch role that I did not have the experience for. I think I got rejected after 2 weeks, so I never had a conversation with them. That's also more of a technical solution. Just an incredible company. Next, Brex. Brex is basically a financial service software company to help companies, I think, pay their employees, but they also do other stuff. Incredible growth with that company. I applied to a remote AE role. I don't think I ever heard back. So yeah, questionable candidate experience there. Next, remote.com. They are remote. They are mid-private, and I wouldn't recommend that company. Next, Databricks. Databricks is one of the most valuable enterprise software companies that's private today. They've received a tremendous amount of venture capital funding. I think perhaps in excess of $1 billion. I know some people over there, amazing company, competitor to Snowflake, huge market opportunity. I applied to an enterprise AE role in the retail and CPG, consumer packaged goods segment, bit of a stretch role, and I never heard back. Still a great company. Next, Palantir. Palantir is a super fascinating public software company. They are one of the most valuable by enterprise value divided by next 12-month revenue. I was actually referred to this company because a leader over there had seen my content, reached out to me. We ended up speaking, and he referred me internally. I did not end up getting the interview, but still have a ton of respect for Palantir. They're HQ'd in Denver and have some roles open in Dallas, Atlanta. Great company to look into. Next, Glia. Glia is based in New York. The role I applied to was remote. They're mid-private. They basically sell they call it a unification management platform, basically with helping with customer service, customer experience. I was referred by a previous colleague. I had the initial conversation with the recruiter, and then I was rejected. Next, Dialpad. Dialpad happens to have an office right down the street from me in Austin, which was really interesting. They had a Super Bowl commercial. I don't know a ton about the company. They are venture capital funded, private, and I applied and got rejected. Next, Ninja One. Ninja One is a really interesting company. They basically sell IT solutions, oversimplified. They are HQ'd here in Austin, so I love the idea of walking to the office. I was able to meet with a friend of mine who works for the company, and he helped me out, but they never ended up giving me an interview. Shout out Ninja One. Next, Motive. Motive, this role was remote. They're mid-private. I sort of view them as a competitor to Samsara, where they help real-world businesses, especially trucking, monitor what they're doing in miles, safety, emissions, mitigation of risk, all that. I got rejected. Wasn't too interested in that company. They just seemed interesting from the outside looking in. Next, Rippling. This role, they are mid-private, sort of a competitor to Deal. Really exciting company. I had a friend over there who referred me to the role, and I got rejected. So I look forward to competing with them to earn customers. Next, Atlassian. Atlassian is a $50 billion market cap public company, HQ'd in Australia. I applied to an enterprise role, stretch role. They happen to have an office here in Austin. I got rejected. CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is one of the best performing companies in the past year. Public company, cybersecurity market leader, HQ'd here in Austin. So I love the idea of being able to walk to the office. I applied to a role that required 1 year of experience, and I got auto-rejected. So that's what you get when you're dealing with really, really big companies. I did attempt to network my way in a bit, never heard back from anyone over there. So I guess they say cybersecurity, private for a reason. Still a great company, a lot of respect for them. Clary is basically a competitor to Gong. They are a great product, pipeline management, private company. I applied to an enterprise role that required way more experience than I had, got rejected, is what it is. Finally, Glean. Glean is basically the ChatGPT for enterprise. I applied to a strategic AE role that didn't have the experience for and never heard back. So great experience there. Those were the 24 software companies that I applied to that I believe are the best companies to work for in 2024. And I know you're thinking, well, Trent, what's the difference between software and tech? Tech, you could be selling at, let's say, Facebook, Meta. So you could be selling whatever you would be selling over there. I don't consider that pure software. I'm most interested in pure enterprise software. That is my passion. That is the career path I want to be working in. And these were the 24 software companies, a mix of private and public, that I thought would be right for me. And I wanted to be very comprehensive in my job search because I was fully committed to achieving my result of an account executive role. I'm so grateful how it played out. I cannot wait to get started in my job in the next few weeks. I hope this list was useful to you. A few insights I learned in the process. Operate with massive urgency and intent. So be very clear about why you applied to the company. And if you do get the opportunity to speak with the company, make sure to share that and then do your best to accelerate the process forward quickly. Do not wait for the next round. Say, are you available this afternoon? Are you available tomorrow to continue the conversation? Next, do your research on the company. I received a text from someone who said, yeah, I hired a virtual assistant to help find companies and apply on my behalf. And I was like, why would you do that? There was no intentionality behind it. Each of these companies, I was very clear about the reason for speaking with them. Some more so than others, certainly. But be very clear if you're going to apply to a company, there needs to be some sort of intentionality and reason for that and context as to how you got to that point. I spent dozens of hours building this list, and I know we can cover it in a few minutes, but it seems like, oh, we just threw to some companies down. This was very intentional. I'm using all resources available, all public information to build this list, right? Next, it only takes one. It only takes one. Although I was rejected 11 times and certainly feel a need to prove people wrong that passed on me, it only takes one. Have faith and trust the process. At times I questioned if it was going to work out for me, and it worked out because it only takes one. And all of a sudden things can be not going well. You get an interview, then you get an offer less than 3 business days later. So stay confident And remember, it only takes one. It takes one call, one email, one offer, one job, one new customer, one new relationship from changing everything. And the final insight I'll share is that the companies in which I had the most success with and that I were actually the most interested in were mutually the best fit, because I was able to find sales leaders, whether it be through mutual connections, making an introduction, or cold outreach myself by looking at LinkedIn, by searching the company, trying to figure out all I can. Whenever your first conversation is with a sales leader, I think it's a much better start to your interview process to eventually land an offer than with a recruiter. Believe me, find the leaders with open headcount. They want great talent for their team. They're most likely incentivized in some way to recruit people. So you're solving a problem for them. You're helping them. You're being useful by demonstrating how you would be a great fit for their team and the company as a whole. That's what I learned in my interview process. These are the 24 best software companies to work for in 2024.